You're listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. She is passionate, direct, and sometimes a little sarcastic, but always gives you what you need to succeed in business. Now, here's your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 18, 7 quick tips for a stress-free return from vacation or a conference. If you are an entrepreneur who wants to take consistent, massive, focused action in your business and life, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. And if you are a repeat listener, I'm so happy you're back and that you found this to be the place that will help you improve your productivity to increase your profits. My goal today is for you to learn how to truly take time off from work and return without being overstressed. So let's dive right in and get straight to it. Today's episode was inspired because I had some back-to-back trips planned, and I don't travel a whole lot. I really try and manage my travel time because I know how much it disrupts my schedule, disrupts my workflow, disrupts things at home. I mean, come on, you really know what that looks like. You already run at Mach speed as an entrepreneur, and then you are gone for 4 days, 5 days a week, and when you come back, sometimes it just really seems too overwhelming. Well, I have some quick tips I'm going to share with you today on how to return from vacation and or a work conference a little less stressed. Perhaps a lot more less stressed. But before I get into that, I want to share with you what I've been up to and what I'm on my way out to. As I record this, it is my anniversary. It's my 9-year anniversary with my husband. And so we're leaving in the morning for a 5-day camping trip. And this is on the heels of just being back in town for just a few days from a conference. I attended the Podcast Movement Conference in California. And while I was there, I was able to meet some amazing people. And this was my first podcasting conference, and I didn't know what to expect. But I set out with some specific intentions going into that conference. And that would be one of my bonus tips for you too, is that you have specific goals and intentions when you do attend a conference. And for me, this conference was less about perhaps learning new methods or strategies and more about connecting with people, building relationships, and seeing what can come out of that. My specific goal was to meet 5 women that could possibly change the direction of my life, either personally or professionally. As an entrepreneur, sometimes it can be lonely behind the computer screens all day, and you don't get to interact with a lot of other entrepreneurs unless you purposely set out to do so. And being that we already had something in common, which is podcasting, going to this conference, and I'm super passionate about podcasting, I thought this would be a great way to meet some people. My goal was to find other podcasts that I could possibly be a guest on to provide value, and to find others that would be a great guest on my podcast to provide value to you, my listeners. And that was done exponentially. I exceeded every goal that I had. And I want to share with you some of the amazing people that I met there. Should you be listening to this podcast and perhaps you love podcasts and you want to listen to some others, I'm going to go over some of the amazing people that I met and just do a name call out to their podcast so that you can definitely look them up. Links to their podcasts will all be in the show notes, and the show notes are at theproductivityspecialist.com/018. So you'll be able to link out to and find all the information about these lovely people. But I first wanted to start off with a shout out to Wealthy Boss. So Wealthy Boss is spelled WELLTHY, and that's Wealthy Boss. And that's with Mariah Seacrest Comer. And she was the first person that I met. I actually met her at the orientation for newcomers. And we were sitting at the same round table, and she said what she does. And wait till I tell you what she does. You will think, oh my gosh, you guys were meant to be. So she has a podcast and a business specifically for entrepreneurs and teaching them how to take care of themselves. And so if you've heard in past episodes me telling you that investing in yourself is the best way to improve your productivity, this young lady has been shouting that from the rooftops from her own podcast of Wealthy Boss. She explains why entrepreneurs tend to sabotage their own personal health or not eat right or not work out because they're hustling and they're so focused on the growth of their business. So she shares some phenomenal tips on how to balance all of that entrepreneurship plus taking care of yourself. One of my affirmations is, I invest in myself because the return on investment is priceless. And so when I say invest in myself, that means eating healthy and exercising and doing the things that it takes to be balanced and not just all in to my business. And so she is going to be a guest in an upcoming episode very soon. The next lady I met was later that evening, and I saw her from across the room, and I was like, I need to talk to her. Didn't know what it was about. It was just one of those things that I was like, I really want to talk to her. So her and I began talking, and she has a podcast called Grace and Grit. And her name is Courtney Townley. And her podcast about Grace and Grit is all about, additionally, but specifically for women. So the last person I was speaking to was for entrepreneurs in general. Courtney is all about women and how to educate you about whole health so that the health and taking care of yourself isn't just with weight loss and exercise. It's whole body. It's spiritual. It's mental. It's all the things that are going on inside of our bodies, hormones, everything like that. If you look at her website or you look at her business card, she's got this phenomenal two sides to her. She's got this graceful, beautiful, gorgeous dress on, and she's all done up. And on the other side, she is wearing like one of those wife beaters, and she's got dirt on her and tires and some ropes and wearing some torn up jeans. And I have had a hard time describing myself in the past because I feel like I have these two polar opposites to myself. In fact, someone very close to me refers to me as a pit bull dressed like a poodle, meaning I do have a soft side. I love to get dressed up like a girly girl, but I'm hard as well. And so when I saw her branding, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You're so in line with what I believe women are, which we have two sides to us, if not more than that. And so she's all about investing in women and teaching them how to be their healthiest selves. So you can find her at Grace and Grit. The next young lady I met hadn't launched yet. She was actually going to launch this Monday, so days after the conference. And her name is Erica Mandy. And Erica Mandy is a news anchor, and she's been a news anchor for 10 years. And she had a vision and a passion for bringing news differently to us. And so she just created a daily podcast, 10 minutes or less. You get all the headlines and the news. I have been listening to her every day. It's definitely going to be my new way of consuming the news because honestly, I don't listen to a lot of radio. I'm always listening to podcasts or audiobooks, and I really do not watch the news. So my headline stories have always come through my husband, but this is a great way to stay up on top headlines, and then I can determine what headlines I want to research more. And it's fun, it's fast, it's always fair, meaning she's not taking political sides. She's telling it like it is. And so you can find her at thenewsworthy.com. So her podcast is called The Newsworthy, 10 minutes or less. Great efficiency tip too. So if you're trying to get your news in on the go and be efficient with it, this is a great, great option. All right. And the next one that I want to talk about is Hillary Hendershot. Hillary Hendershot has a podcast called Profit Boss, and she shares with women how to manage their money, how to invest their money, how to run a profitable life. And I've listened to a few of her episodes, and because I met her in person, if you like me being a straight shooter, telling you like it is, then this podcast is for you, and that is Profit Boss. Next is my new friend, but fast friend, Katie Kremitzos. And Katie has a podcast called Biz Women Rock. And her podcast is all about investing in women and how to build your business, business resources, a community of women with businesses, and I will be definitely plugging into her and her services. And I think I have been listening to her podcast for quite some time before I met her at this conference, and I think this would be a great addition to any of you women out there trying to grow your business. And then last but not least is my new friend as well, Natalie Ekdahl. I have also been listening to Natalie Ekdahl. She has the podcast called Biz Chicks with an X. And she has an MBA and she services high-level entrepreneurs on their journey and what they need to scale up and build their businesses. And so this is another great resource for any of you entrepreneurial women out there that want community and resources to build your business up. All right, guys, I didn't forget about you. There are a ton of podcasts out there for you as well, but unfortunately at this conference, it seemed to be I was attracting some powerful women that serve women. And I'm not sure what that was all about in my world or if I needed that. But for now, you need to keep a lookout for some other podcasts that serve just men, perhaps. But I have heard that a few cool dudes listen to these women podcasts too, because these women know what's up. They know what's going on, and they're giving such incredible information that you might want to go and check them out too. Okay, that was a lot, and it wasn't a plug because I'm getting anything from these ladies. It wasn't anything. I honestly was doing this because if I listen to a podcast and I trust and like the host and they make a reference to another podcast, I am more apt to check it out. And I think that these are podcasts worth checking out that will actually add value to your life. And that's what this is about. Not just adding content, not just adding someone else to follow, but really looking at what the opportunity is to learn and grow from other people. All right. So that was my podcast movement experience. And coming home, I knew I had another trip planned because it was our anniversary and we wanted to go on a little family trip. So we decided to take the Labor Day weekend to go on a camping trip. How did I juggle being gone for nearly 2 weeks in about a 3-week period? And I'm going to tell you the 7 quick tips that I used to come back. We'll call it essentially stress-free. I am not going to bullshit you. It's not stress-free. Like, you can't just leave your business for 5 days and then turn around and leave and do it again without a little bit of, okay, what am I going to do? What do I have to move around? What do I need to make happen? So just to give you a little bit of insight into my schedule, today is Wednesday. And so in the last 2 days, so Tuesday and Wednesday, I met with 7 people. So 7 coaching clients all day on Tuesday, all day on Wednesday, and now I'm recording this podcast before I leave. And that was strategic because I had to move my coaching clients from the week I was gone at the conference. I set a specific goal that I was not going to work on my business while being at the conference. And I'm so glad I did because I was literally running from like 7:30 in the morning for some breakfast meetings all the way to the late evening with drinks and dinner, going till 10, maybe even 11 o'clock at night, and during the day being at the conference all day. And so I didn't want my time to be divided with my to-do list or answering emails or any kind of other obligations. I really wanted to be present for the relationships that I intended to build. And I am so happy I did. So let me tell you how I did it. First, I stopped working the day before I left for vacation. So that's tip number 1. If you're leaving for vacation, I want you to stop working the day before you're leaving. So if you're leaving on Monday, that means you don't work on Friday. Now, what do I mean by not work? I mean, I want you to not have appointments on the calendar. I want it to be a day that you catch up, that you review everything that you have going on, that you are able to tie up loose ends, that you're able to return the emails that are in your inbox. Because if you set appointments or interviews or meet with clients, all of those produce what? More things to do. So if you are adding more and more to your to-do list up to the last day that you're leaving, then you're never going to be able to catch up to be able to leave and not handle those loose ends. So my advice is to stop working. So the Friday before I left, I didn't have any appointments. I tried tying up everything that I had loose ends, following up with clients, making sure everything was okay, and letting everybody know that I was going to be out of town, which leads me to step number 2. Set expectations and stick to them. Boy, did I. I set expectations with my family. I let them know that I will be calling in as frequently as I can, but I'm going to be going all day, all night. I set expectations with my clients, letting them all know that I was not going to be available while I was away at this conference unless it was an emergency, and to be clear about what the emergencies were. And the other part to that strategy is to stick to them. Because if you set expectations and then you break them, then you have no reason to get upset when you start working on your vacation or your conference. And what I mean by that is if you set an out of office notification, which is one of the tips here. So number 3 is to turn on your auto reply the day before you leave. So if you set your auto reply on your email and then you respond to an email, they're going to know you're reading emails, and then they're going to email back, and then they're going to expect another email. And so it's going to become a vicious cycle where you feel obligated to respond. And now you're in the, what is that called? The rat wheel, where you're just going over and over again, meaning you started it. You told them you were unavailable. Then you responded. You can't just go MIA after that. I guess you could, but you might feel guilty about it. And I want you to have a stress-free vacation, guilt-free as well, and not feel like you're obligated to return that. And so number 2 was set the expectations and stick to them. Number 3, turn on your out of office auto reply. I bet you do that already, but I want you to do that the day before you leave. So what that means is that I didn't leave for my trip until Tuesday, but I set my auto out of office reply to start going on Monday. And why I did that is because if emails kept coming in on Monday to me and I didn't get a chance to respond to them, that means I'd be working into Tuesday trying to respond. And so I set that expectation that I was going to be out of town already and that I wasn't going to return emails until I returned. And so I didn't feel the obligation to return every single email or respond to every single email that came in on Monday. If you wait to turn your auto reply, like your notice that you're out, the minute before you leave on vacation or you get on the flight, then possibly emails are coming in before you would actually be able to get back to them. And now they might be waiting a week before they hear back from you. So I love doing that ahead of time. Number 4 is to create a vacation folder in your email management system or create a rule. And what that means is that these emails are going to be automatically based on the rule in Outlook or Gmail, or really whatever email management system you use as long as it has rules, is that it moves all the emails over into a folder. Now, the reason why I do this is because we're all a little addicted to checking our email. And when we check our email on our phone, whether we want to respond or not, if that's a habit that you have, if they're there and you can see them, you're really going to want to respond. And so you can set a rule up that they all get moved into a folder. And then when you get back from your vacation or conference, you can check that folder and respond to them all as needed. Number 5, change your voicemail. So again, let people know you're out of the office, either on vacation or at a conference, and communicate that in all the ways that seems possible for people to be reaching out to you. So again, this is just another method of setting expectations. But when you do so and they leave a voicemail, even though you're going to be gone for the next 3, 4, 5 days or whatever time that is, then they know you will return that call once you return. So again, change your voicemail before you leave. Number 6, let me say this again, do not overschedule yourself the first day back. So if you return on a Wednesday from your trip, I don't want you booking your entire day on Thursday with back-to-back appointments, because what's going to happen is you still have to process all of those emails, voicemails, communicate with your staff, find out where you left off. You're going to have a lot of follow-up to do. And if you dive right into a very busy schedule as soon as you come back from vacation, you will be just dragging out all that time it's going to take to follow up and get caught up. Use the day you return from vacation strictly for catching up, or you'll feel overwhelmed playing catch up for weeks, sometimes longer. Sometimes these vacations or conferences could be what snowballs you into just feeling absolutely overwhelmed and that you're continually trying to play catch up. And so if you just block off a day to catch up on your emails and follow up, then you won't drag that out throughout the rest of the week and or possibly month. And for me, that would be a much more productive move than trying to jump right into appointment after appointment. Number 7, this is my last tip for you. So number 7 is to process your emails. And so when you come back from vacation, what I don't want you to do is just check them and peruse through them and cherry pick what you're going to answer and just kind of go in and out of your inbox. What I want you to do is process your emails. And I will share a link in the show notes here on my blog of an article that breaks down exactly what the process is to process your emails. And essentially what that means is that you are making one of 5 decisions on every single email in your inbox. And without going on a tangent, an inbox full is just delayed decision making. You haven't quite decided what needs to happen with it. And so I don't want you checking your email. I want you processing your email, which means making a decision for every email that's in your inbox. And you can check that article out in the show notes at theproductivityspecialist.com/018. And that's where all the show notes will be. So again, just to reiterate, I'm going to share with you my top 7 tips for coming back from vacation or a conference stress-free. And that's number 1, stop working the day before you leave for vacation, i.e. no additional meetings or appointments. I want you to actually catch up so that you can leave with a clear slate and not be taking your work with you. Number 2 is set expectations, communicate those to everyone, your staff, your employees, your clients, and stick to them. Number 3, turn on your out of office auto reply, but do it a full day before you're actually leaving the office. Number 4 is create a vacation folder and or a email rule so that all the emails automatically go to a folder so you're not tempted to look at them, read them, respond to them, upset yourself when you're on vacation, any of those. Number 5 was to change your voicemail. So that's another way to reinforce communicating to those that may not know you're on vacation. Number 6 is do not overschedule yourself the first day back from vacation or conference. And number 7 is to process your emails and not check them. So I hope you've loved today's episode. I think this is very relevant. I know a lot of us are either vacationing or going to conferences a lot over the summer, but we're also creeping up on the holidays before we know it. You know, in about 2 more months, it's going to be Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you're going to either be taking time off or you're going to be going to additional conferences or you're going on vacation. So I want you to ensure that you set yourself up for the ultimate success and that you come back stress-free. The whole point of going to these conferences and or taking vacation is to connect with people, whether it's colleagues or your family. And I don't want you to have to pay for that by coming back completely stressed out and not, losing your momentum in what you're doing in your business because you continually feel behind the 8 ball and can't seem to get caught up. So I hope you found these tips to be helpful. I hope you absolutely enjoy your next trip, vacation and or conference. And until next time, I want you to make it a productive day. Now, while I have loved having you listen to Productivity Straight Talk, I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So based on what you learned today, what will you take action on? Will you implement 1, 2, maybe 3 of these tips? Perhaps you'll implement all 7 of them before you go on your next trip. I want to make sure that the time you invest in listening to this podcast is a useful time. And the only way that this can be useful is if you take the information you learned and execute on that. So if you want to share your actionables and receive support, guidance, and motivation from entrepreneurs just like you, I want you to join us on the inside of our private Facebook group for Productivity Straight Talk. It's a community of entrepreneurs just like you. And when you jump in, tell me that you listened to this episode. Share with me a tip that you use that maybe I didn't cover. Is there a tip you've tried and it didn't work so well? Let us know. Let our community support you and learn from you if you have something that I may have missed. You can join for free by going to productivitycommunity.com. Again, go to productivitycommunity.com, put in your name, email address, and I will send you a personal invitation link to our private Facebook group. So that is my straight talk for you today. And until next time, make it a productive week.